So I was asked today to do BBC before lunch, and I spent some time reflecting on hiding in the snow or flashing myself in a toilet. But then I realized it probably will take more effort than just think about something, reflect, and share with you. So I want to talk a little bit about being and finding the way to feel um, whole and connected to others. And I will do it in a way of reflecting on the haiku by Japanese haiku master and poet Kobayashi Isa. Um, I went across it some years ago and I really liked it, and I feel like, wow, it's something that I would appreciate in my life, the experience, and would like to integrate into my life more. So the haiku is: in the cherry blossom's shade, there is no such thing as a stranger. So I guess all of us can quite easily recollect the moments in life when we felt connected to other people and whole, opposed to being fragmented on different levels. And I want to reflect on it also a little bit, so maybe you can add at the end of the talk your own examples, your own personal examples of that. You probably know that in Japan, the period of time when cherry trees are blossoming is a very special period of time. It pervades the whole culture, and you will find it in literature. And as I know, they even have this term, cherry blossom front. So the weather services and media would um, follow so-called cherry blossom front as it slowly moves from south northward. Uh, so it has a very special place in Japanese mentality, and people would follow such forecast, I guess, and then be ready, prepare themselves for family gathering with their friends, colleagues in the gardens, blossoming gardens, and just spend time together, having food, drinks, chat with each other, and such. And I'm sure that it's time when many tourists come to the country to catch up with that very special natural event. And of course, we will find many references to it in Japanese poetry, and if some allegories in Japanese literature would be difficult for us to understand without studying their culture and history, I think this one, each of us can quite easy to unravel and understand. And much of the time, rather than feeling whole, we may feel fragmented and disconnected, and therefore unhealthy on different levels, on one or another level. And during the course of the day, we may experience ourselves in many different roles, maybe being as a wife or son or employee and such. And when we're alone, we have one image of ourselves. And when we with people we know very well, we act in one way. When with people we don't know at all, we completely different way. And we feel fragmented and estranged from ourselves. So our gesture of friendship often to others are often born out of loneliness and fear. Looking for trust and closeness, we end up finding only the appearance of genuine relationship. So it's not genuine relationship because it doesn't have genuine base for it to build up genuine relationship. And we can contrast that predicament with this haiku of Isa by Isa. In the cherry blossom shade, there is no such thing as a stranger. And when I hear this line, I imagine people being under the blossoming trees, obviously enjoying the beauty of that transitory event. And what unites them Of course, it could be just joy and often gratitude for the beauty around, but also the fleeting nature of our human experience of feeling happy and unhappy, happiness and unhappiness. This hike also reminds me that we are equal and not strangers to each other in terms of wishing to be happy and to be free of dukkha of cyclic existence. And if we attend to this uniting aspect of our being, we are no longer strangers in that aspect. We know what it means to want happiness and not wanting unhappiness or misery. We may find many similarities. We have a lot in common in which respect we are the same. When I see myself sitting in a meditation hall, surrounded by all of you, I often feel myself being in some kind of under the blossoming trees, under the protective roof of 3 jewels. So we all strive to become better people, to be of benefit to others as much as we can, to overcome our fragmentation due to self-centeredness and wrong views on reality and on ourselves. And I think there are many examples when we may find ourselves whole, content, grateful, and connected. We have the whole set of practices that can be Buddhist or secular, that's just based on common sense and relate to goodness in people. So we can overcome this sense of, so despite differences in philosophy views. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama always invites people from different traditions to pray for peace together in the holy places. Like when he visits Lourdes and Assisi, or when he invited to churches and mosques. And the Buddhist teacher Sylvia Burstein said that a lot of Jewish prayers, and she is a Jewish, are about offering gratitude together. So I think also when people empathize, when we practice compassion and generosity of giving protection just by attending to people's problem. And Venerable Robina gives the example of empathy in talking about each other's problems. She said that there is a we energy then as opposed to me versus we energy there. Yeah. And we have this wonderful so-called lazy way of accumulating merit, which is also enable us to feel connected and grateful just by rejoicing to something good and beneficial for others, for people and other sentient beings. As we discussed before, here rejoicing can be additional remedy to loneliness and overcoming depression, which is an extreme case of alienation. So this is just a few of my thoughts on this, and I would like to invite you to share your own personal experience, very specific examples maybe, when you feel connected to others and feel whole and content and grateful for what you have in life. So anybody can share?
I feel that in Tai Chi class because I've been with the same people for many years. The teacher almost doesn't need to speak to lead us, and the whole group moves like a school of fish. And so many concepts from Buddhism come to my mind at that time because we're not individuals anymore.
I have a very simple example that I remember of something that I did so small, but I felt incredibly grateful and connected. I had a little cookie that I had on my altar that I wanted to offer to someone, so I did, and they were so happy, and I just felt this incredible joy that I had done the best thing in the whole world. And I remember feeling so connected and wanted to do that over and over again.
What Cheryl said reminded me of a time when I volunteered at a food bank, and at the end of the shift, they let us take home all the bread that would have gone bad overnight, would have gotten stale. So I got all these like cookies and this stuff I was really excited to eat. But then I went to like a shopping center, and there was this family standing on the corner, and it was father and a mother and their little child in a baby stroller, and they were asking for food, so I gave the bread that I had, and then as I was driving away, I saw the child eating the cookie, and I just, wow, it touched me. I was surprised at how much it touched me, and I felt really connected, like my life mattered at that moment.
I was on a plane one time, and our plane got delayed, and then they put us up. They gave us vouchers for a hotel, and so everybody that was going to be on the plane was in that situation. We were all in line together, getting our vouchers, and the next day they had changed our plane route again, and we had to go from one line to another, and we had to get it all figured out. And it wasn't a real profound event, but we were all strangers to begin with. And we were moving around and somebody would find out some information and tell the whole group, and we would kind of move as a group. It was pretty cool, just because everybody had been strangers before.
So I have this experience every time I attend the death of one of my patients. And I guess it's very similar to the cherry blossoms in that it's ephemeral and fairly powerful and meaningful for everyone involved, including the person who's dying, the patient who's dying. And it's strangely one of the most, like when I feel it the most, actually, beyond regular experience, family things, there's always everything's fraught with, underlying tension. But in that moment, when the family's gathered around, it's just all that strips away, and it's just this profound connection of all of us are mortal, and all of us are here for this. And I'm connected to these people in a way that shocks me sometimes. It's very powerful.
When we were attending the Varsa, there was this real sense of belonging, to community, and to this this community that has been existing for all these centuries as well. And especially as I heard that moment came from a place where I felt like, isolated. I like very much this word that you used, fragmented, yeah. And it was such a unifying, such a healing experience to be together with the Sangha and to be part of this greater community.
On the plane from Spokane to Seattle a month ago, I sat next to a woman who kept asking questions about what it meant to be a Buddhist monastic. I was the first one she had ever seen. And then she asked why we shave our head. And then after that, she said, I've been bald too because I had cancer. And then now I'm in remission. So in a very short time, we became very close. And then I said, we're going to pray for you. And she was so grateful. And the plane ride ended with her saying, can I give you a hug?
So one of the ways that I often feel very connected to the people I'm living with here are when we are bowing to each other at night. You could just rejoice that everybody's good qualities and that we're all here progressing along this path. And I really think that's a really amazing thing. And it brings a lot of connection and like a deep sense of gratitude for being here. So that's the cherry blossoms for me.
Thank you. Thank you for your examples. Yeah. So as we see that so many things may help us to feel connected, supported, and it could be our practice that we do intentionally, or that can be provoked by people, like-minded people we're surrounded with, or when we losing the feeling of sense of me, and reaching out other people in need, just attending, just by being present and ready to embrace their difficult experience. So I hope each of us can find the way to practice it and to feel this support to progress on the way to become better people, and to achieve the flourish and blossoming result of that practice, Buddhahood.